throughout the course of relationships and love. We often think that the secret to our happiness is found in the approval and love from others, but consider a life where your happiness is independent of the whims and another person's feelings, where your mental health is not determined by others, by quick looks, unanswered messages, or ambiguous. This situation in communications is not a far-off fantasy that is really a reality available to you at this moment. Sketching knowledge derived from the timeless precepts of Stoicism is an old way of thinking that highlights inner tranquility and resiliency. Discover the key to achieving happiness. Separate from our external conditions, but how is this related to desiring to be missed by someone in? In today's video, we'll explore the deep understanding of Stoic philosophy and how it has the potential to transform both our individual development and our interpersonal connections in the most significant ways. Come along as we explore the craft of creating a lasting impact without using manipulation or careful preparation, but by exhibiting an attitude of independence and internal calm. By committing oneself to emotional growth and personal development, independence, and acknowledging the present without reliance, we inherently increase in attraction and, ironically not to be forgotten, remember to like. Stay tuned and subscribe, for every segment of the video is painstakingly created to guide you to a more life that is stoic and wealthy. Now let's start with number 1, letting go of the want to first number control. The Stoics had this wise notion that a large portion of our stress, annoyance, and even profound sadness arrive from attempting to regulate things that simply uncontrollable. We all engage in it, putting a lot of effort into attempting to mold circumstances, outcomes, and even other individuals in accordance with our desires, just because a large portion of it is beyond our control. May first sound a little depressing, however. Actually, its purpose is to free us, intended to free us from those self-constructed bonds that bind us to not possible. Accepting Stoic wisdom requires expectations. For instance, it's not only about relaxing and just allowing life to happen to us, about focusing on what we can really impact, our inner. This is where we have genuine power, our mindsets, our decisions. So here's where we can actually create an impression. By concentrating here, we can increase our tolerance, comprehension, and resilience is the key to finding genuine serenity. Think about the concept of letting go of the lesson of control. Stoicism is to accept. The organic cycle of life aids us in distinguish our behavior from their outcomes. We may devote ourselves fully to our efforts, yes, but the results are often. It's all right that they're out of our control. It doesn't diminish the value of our work, just indicates that we see things from a healthier, more grounded viewpoint. By coordinating our behavior with our principles and allowing go of certain outcomes, we live more. Moreover, completely and really somber. Teachings push us to observe every circumstance as an opportunity to develop and to test our hypotheses on what controls security and prosperity really imply. That we often discover that our true power does not result from having complete control across our surroundings, but by managing our inner scenery. In daily life, this entails turning into more flexible and receptive to the unexpected, which entails accepting life's surprises with a heart and a serene mind, prepared to absorb whatever comes our way. How it's about managing the difficulties with grace and recognizing them as opportunities to develop and comprehend oneself more effectively. When we include this Stoic concept into our everyday activities, we observe more profound connections in our partnerships, decreased tension, and an increased awareness of the present. And we may now see that control isn't the key to contentment, rather than about striking a balance between acceptance and inner. Calmly relinquishing our demand for giving up control isn't about regaining our authority in the most efficient manner feasible. It's about setting off on a quest for inner freedom that changes our perspective and engage with the environment. Bringing us to a life is not defined by approval from others, but by inner peace, fortitude, and a deep awareness of the second goal is self-improvement over part 2, outside validation. Have you ever caught yourself feeling as if you need approval from others? Perhaps you've realized how much you're worth. You long for social media likes or feel depressed when you don't get the response you wished for by family or friends. It's a typical pitfall while looking for happiness from outside sources, particularly when it comes to partnerships, but this is an alternative. Imagine what would happen if you found true bliss. Within Stoicism, an antiquated, what philosophy tells us is that everything about concentrating on our sphere of influence, such as our attitudes and behaviors, and letting go of the things we can't, like how this is how people feel or act toward us, does not imply that we no longer care. It's about enhancing resilience and identifying contentment inside ourselves, rather than from someone else's endorsement. Consider the moments you've been waiting tensely for someone to express their desire or to miss you. Having you around is like to providing them the remote control over your feelings, correct? You ultimately respond to their actions, which might cause you to have intense emotions. That remote is handled with whirlwind stoicism. Returning to you, it provides us with tools to develop attributes such as knowledge, bravery, justice, and developing these characteristics in moderation helps us develop a robust, resilient, the kind of person who seeks happiness in other people's approval, but in our own individual expansion. And yet, this Stoic attitude doesn't imply that we need to distance ourselves from others, or, conversely, cease caring. Stoicism encourages the development of strong, meaningful relationships founded on mutual regard and understanding, instead as opposed to reliance or neediness. And here's an interesting paradox: by concentrating on our personal development and making an effort to be our being ourselves, we inevitably become more captivating and enticing to others. People are drawn to such things by nature. They are self-assured and enthusiastic about their activities and at ease in their own skin. So the less we attempt to focus, the more probable they are to pay attention, while we're living our most genuine lives. So why don't we begin refocusing our efforts instead? Instead than looking for approval, let's pour our hearts into fostering our inner selves. Let's devote time to acquiring new abilities, acquiring new interests, and really exploring our own values in depth. And what drives us on this adventure of improvement and self-discovery aren't just satisfying in and of itself. It also makes us far more respectable and perhaps missable. Keep in mind that Stoicism isn't about rejecting our wants or repressing them. This is a reminder of the need of relationships. That our worth and pleasure don't rely on them. By establishing a foundation in Stoic ideals, we may attain a calm, content, and sincere. Let's embrace an autonomous existence, Stoic approach that prioritizes self-improvement and discover our happiness inside that the genuine source of happiness is found among friends. Number 3. Discovered. Number 3. Independence and sentimental. The foundation of Stoicism is resilience, a strong insight. Even if we can't always control our own destiny, we certainly may influence our reaction to these events. This notion is not just freeing. It provides us with the solutions to our emotions. The goal of freedom Stoicism is not to shut down, ignoring your emotions or acting as if the world doesn't impact you. Rather, it's all about being aware of your feelings, knowing them well, and then choose not to answer these emotions' calls. The Stoics' shots showed a rather clear mantra: pay attention to what you can manage and give up things you can't. It's not merely about discovering inner serenity, It's a useful manual for maintaining emotional stability. Powerful. Now consider how this plays out. Let's assume that someone cuts in daily life. Your pal cancels, or you're stuck in traffic. Last-minute arrangements rather than allowing disappointment or annoyance damage your day-to-day stoicism trains us to ignore it and emphasize our reaction rather than the incident itself. This kind of thinking cultivates a feeling of self-reliance that is empowering and very helpful. And know this: being independent does not imply that you will alone. It really facilitates communication with people more truthfully from a location of fortitude and confidence. Take, for example, Stoicism in relationships enables us to comprehend that while it's wonderful to care for and love others, happiness should not be only based on the behavior of another person or approbation. This viewpoint motivates us to establish connections based on mutual real connection and respect are not lacking of a fear of being dependent or alone. Dependence. By strengthening our emotional resiliency, we are able to appreciate more deeply meaningful connections without losing stoicism, and our own individuality in them emphasizes living in harmony with nature. Embracing the inevitable highs and lows of life, it significantly strengthens our emotions' strength. It serves as a reminder that change is steady, and adjusting to it is a real examination of our resilience. But how do we achieve it? Begins with self-awareness via regular check-in with your own ideas and feelings, particularly when you encounter difficulties. Is essential appreciation exercises while remaining in the being in the moment and coordinating your everyday engaging in activities that align with your basic beliefs, significant portion as well. And most crucially, we must challenge our assumptions by questioning whether our responses are really appropriate for the circumstances, or if they are founded on old behaviors or beliefs. That support stoicism is not about cruising through life without ever requiring assistance from others. Instead, it's about claiming your identity, using a lighthouse to guide during storms yourself, with values that have endured the passage of time. This expedition towards individual autonomy and emotions resilience is more than just a solo song. It's enhanced by the knowledge of those who have traveled this route before to us. And when we use these Stoic ideas, we'll discover that our ability to be joyful resilience in the face of difficulty and our talent for keeping all relationships in balance expand beyond our wildest expectations. Let's weather life's storms together, not alone looking for refuge, but by being resilient. Together, the fourth number is creating a number 4. Significant life opens up to the deep lessons from Stoic thinkers like as Marcus Aurelius Seneca, and these scholars place a strong emphasis on epicus, the significance of coordinating our lives with our own selves and the larger. At its core, the universe's rhythm. Philosophy pushes us to make what's really crucial and to fully dedicate ourselves to these. The real core of Stoic ideals of life cannot be obtained by pursuing outside success in gaining money or accumulating praise, rather than being anchored in fostering our virtue, knowledge, and integrity, is about actively advancing the common good by participating in our neighborhoods and constructing connections based on mutual respect. And realizing how to live a meaningful life then entails delving deeply into our inner selves, which entails questioning difficult inquiries about our identities and what we really cherish, which motivates us to uphold these principles, particularly when confronted with difficulties or when it could be tempted to just follow social norms. Stoicism about expectations behaves like a compass during this voyage of self-reflection, directing us to examine not just what we do, but why we do it. Are we behaving sincere behind them? Virtue, or are we just looking for outside confirmation, as well as Stoicism teaches us about the fleeting nature of given outside circumstances and strains, the significance of concentrating on what we can control. This mentality is releasing it frees us from the pointless, a concerted effort to manage the unmanageable, and directs our efforts in the direction of places where we can really may affect our attitudes, decisions, and responses. Reactions to the environment, us thus making life meaningful, is less about our accomplishments and more regarding our lifestyle and the attitude we adopt. A Stoic mindset every day entails acknowledging that pain and failures are a normal part of life. Rather than considering these obstacles to contentment, we may see them as chances for resilience and development and a better comprehension of life's complexity. This does not imply that we look for pain. Instead, find purpose in conquering it, gaining knowledge from it, and proceeding with a more resilient soul and a more living with a compassionate heart. In action incorporates both minor everyday actions and more extensive motions that are seen in the Kinneswood. Additionally, it may be discovered in those quiet moments when we consider where we are in the universe, recognizes the beauty of the natural world, take care of ourselves, and cultivate our connections, that these acts are based on Stoic ideals, weave a beautiful tapestry of a life well lived. Let's remember the Stoic journey throughout life. Toward a purposeful existence isn't intended to be traversed alone. It's a route we take, jointly assisting one another with exchanged knowledge and experience encounters. By securing our existence in Stoicism, we not only get ready to confront life's obstacles, but also survive as they discover joy, meaning, and significance at each and every turn. As we get to the end of our trip through final results, the lessons of it is clear from Stoicism that this timeless, we may learn far more from philosophy than only rules. It provides a way of life rich in calm, fortitude, and wisdom. Stoicism pushes us to focus on what's really beneficial to us, handle the highs and lows of life with grace, and serenity the tactics and techniques. The topics we have discussed are not just theoretical concepts. They are practical instruments that can be included into our daily activities, transforming obstacles into opportunities for individual development and deeper understanding. That by adopting Stoicism, we may not just to part with the items we are unable to regulate, but also to submerge ourselves completely in the here and now, to appreciate simple pleasures in life and to foster significant connections. This method aids us create a peaceful haven inside of ourselves that remains unflappable despite the pandemonium. Whatever surrounds us in accordance with the Stoic journey does not imply a life without challenges, instead than providing tranquility. To acknowledge the things that we cannot alter, and the courage to alter what we can, all the while adhering to our principles. Stoicism tells us that despite the fact that we cannot control everything that surrounds us, possess authority on our perceptions of what makes decisions and respond as we fold stoically integrating values into our daily life. We start to observe changes in our definitions of happiness. We discover that success and satisfaction, genuine contentment, does not come from external recognition or material possessions, but from living in accordance with our inner selves, convictions and principles. This insight is the key to a really satisfying and happy life, and I appreciate you joining me on this learning experience where timeless wisdom interacts with our daily lives. Let's continue to learn and changing together to get further understanding. Suggest that you see one of the videos suggested on the screen till we reconnect. Keep in mind that the most important travel is the one that allows us to explore our inner selves.